Welcome to Everyday Linux User. In today's video I'm going to show you how to install Arch Linux to an actual PC, and it's going to include EFI installation. So the first thing, I'm using Windows to create a USB drive, but further on in the video I'll show you how to use Linux to create a USB drive as well. It covers for people of both systems. So I'm going to open a browser. And I've gone to archlinux.org/download, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to pick one of the links closest to me. So I'm going to go for the UK. It's times like this I wish I lived in Albania so I didn't have to scroll so far. And from the public mirrors I'm going to choose the ISO image. So I'm going to choose this one here. It was from the 14th. It's 808 megabytes, and I'm just going to click that, and you can see that's downloading up in the top right corner. So now I'm going to open another tab. I'm going to go to etcher.io, and I'm going to click on download Etcher. So when you click the download link, you'll see the list of installers, and you want to take the one from the top, the Windows one, and just click download. And that too will download in the top right corner. So when that's completed, you can close your browser down and open up an Explorer by clicking this here. And then what we need to do is Balena Etcher setup. It's worth inserting a blank USB drive at this point. You can use a USB drive that has got stuff on it, but beware that all the stuff on that USB drive will be wiped. Then I'll close this Explorer window now and accept the license agreement, so click I agree. Now it should start automatically, but if it doesn't, you'll see there's an icon on the desktop and you can just double click that. So what we want to do is click Flash from File, and from the Downloads folder pick Arch. Select your target, choose your USB drive, and then click on Flash. And this will write Arch to your USB drive. And it takes a few minutes to do, so you can go away, get a drink, and come back. So now I'm going to show you the same scenario as if you were using Linux. At this point you actually have to select yes. But now I'm going to show you the same thing using Linux. So if you're using Windows, you can skip on a few minutes until we get to the actual install stage. So here we are. This is my Linux machine. So same scenario, open a web browser, type archlinux.org/download, scroll down to your country and pick one of the downloads, and then click on Arch Linux x86-64.iso, and you'll see that's downloaded in the top right corner. And again we can just type etcher.io and click download Etcher, and this time we want the x64 app image, so click on that one, and that will download in the top right corner as well. So once that's downloaded, you can close the browser and go to the file manager that's built into your system, and we are going to the downloads, and under this Balena Etcher you're going to right click and you're going to click properties, and then go to permissions, and you're going to check this box that says allow this file to run as a program. Click close. Alternatively, if you want to use a terminal, you can do Ctrl Alt and T, you can CD into downloads, and you can do change mod +X, and then you have to do Balena Etcher and the version number. Either of those will work. But now once you click on the app image, you can see the same screen appears. Make sure you've got your USB drive in again, click flash from file, choose the Arch ISO from the downloads folder, select your target, choose your USB drive. You can see mine says Makeia, that's the last thing that I wrote to it. Select and then click flash, type in your password, and it will start to write to that, and Arch will start to write to that drive. And you can see how long it's going to take. It says about 3 minutes. You can probably double that. It's probably going to be about 5 minutes because it does a verifying stage at the end. When the USB drive is finished, you'll see a screen like this one. Whether it's Windows or Linux, it will say flash completed. Now we're in the stage where we can start to install Arch Linux. Beware the machine we're installing onto, we're going to wipe completely. So if there's anything on that machine at all that you want to keep, back it up. If you're unsure or you don't feel like you're at the skill level to install Arch yet, don't do it. Do it in a virtual machine. Use one of my other videos that shows you how to do it in a virtual machine. But this is quite involved, so follow along, but make sure that you're okay to install Arch onto this machine and you are in a position to recover if necessary. When you boot your computer, press the relevant function key to bring up the boot menu. Differs from manufacturer to manufacturer. And then you'll see a list of drives. You want to choose the USB drive that you selected, that you installed Arch onto. And then you'll see this menu here. Click on the top menu, top option, which is Arch Linux Install. So the first thing I will do is going to set the font to a decent size. So set font to -132B, and that should make it easier for you to see on cam. To see a list of all fonts available, you can go to the USR share KBD console fonts directory, and if you do ls, you can see the list of fonts that are available that you can use. So I've used TER132B, but you can use any one of these that are available. The next thing I'm going to do is set up the keyboard layout. So if I go to USR, I'm going to take my webcam off the top because it's in the way. So if I type ls USR share keyboard key maps, 2 asterisks, and then asterisk.map.gz, I'm going to more that to the screen. You can see a list of keyboard maps available. So I could do load keys UK, and I'll set my keyboard to the UK keyboard. So the next thing you're going to want to do, it depends on how old your machine is, but generally, but determine which boot mode you want to use. So the Arch install guide says to do this. And you can see it says 64. It says if the command returns 64, then the system is booted in UEFI mode and has a 64-bit UEFI. If the command returns 32, then its system is booted in UEFI mode and has a 32-bit UEFI. So ideally, you want it to be a 64-bit one. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check the internet status, and we can do that with IP-Link. Now I'm using an Ethernet cable, so you can see these are the network devices available to me. You can see that my Ethernet link is up. So to set up Wi-Fi, we use a command called iwctl, and we do device list. And so we've got WLAN 0, and we can do station WLAN 0 scan. And then we can do, to get the networks available, we do station WLAN 0 get networks. And you can see the networks available, and then we can do station WLAN 0 connect, and then you want to type in the name of the network. Type in the passphrase. I've got that one, I think. Let's try it again. And then we can exit out of there, and we can do ping archlinux.org. And you can see that works. Working on the disk partition now, so fdisk minus L, and we're going to pipe it to more. And the drive I'm going to write to is the one dev mmc blk0, and you see it's already got a number of partitions on it. So I'm going to actually clear those partitions off. So press Q, and so I'm going to do fdisk dev mmc blk0, and I'm going to do D for delete. I'm going to do 1, D for delete 2, D for delete 3, D delete 4. So I have no partitions now, and now I'm going to do fdisk that again. And so I've done fdisk dev mmblk0, create a new partition. I'm going to do default of 1, first sector blank, plus 1G, and then I need to type T. This is important for EFI. Do L to list all the partition types, and you can see I want number 1. Change type of partition to EFI system. Now I want to type N again for new default partition. I default first sector. Now the next bit depends whether you want a swap partition or not. So let's actually do that. Let's do a boot partition, and we're going to do a 4 GB boot partition. I've got 4 gig machine, hibernation. I don't know if that's a decent amount. I never really use swap because I've normally got enough space, or I create a swap file if I need one. But plus 4 gig, and that's that. And then new, N for new, default, first sector, then you just default this one, and then you do W for write. And now you've got all the partitions that you need. So if I do fdisk minus L again, you can see I've got dev mmblck0p1, which is EFI. We've got a swap partition of 4 GB and 53 GB of space to put your root. So now we need to create the file systems to go on that. I'm going to do mkfs.fat minus f32 dev mmcblk0p1, because that's the partition that I want to write to. And you can see that's done that. And then for my swap partition, for my swap partition, I'm going to do mk swap as dev mmcblk0p2, and then for my main root partition it's mkfs.ext4, and it's dev mmcblk0p3. Right, so now we've got the disk sorted out, we can start working on actually getting into our system. So the first thing we're going to do is mount and dev mmcblk0p3, and we're going to /mnt as such, and we're going to do swap on for our swap, and dev mmcblk0p2, because that's our swap drive, as so. And then now we're going to look at our mirror list. So to do that, we are going to do nano etc pacman.d/mirror list, and then you choose the ones that you want to use. Now I'm going to leave mine as a default, but if you want to move them up, you can use Control K to cut the line, and then Control U to paste the line above it. So say I want this one first, I press Control K, move it up there, Control U, and you can see it goes above it. And then to save it, you press Control O, and then to exit out Nano, Control X. Now we want to actually install Arch to your mounted drive, so we clear this and we type pacstrap -k and then /mount, and then you want to type in base Linux firmware, and you also want to type nano. Now this isn't on the Arch install guide, but you'll need an editor to use once you've installed your base system. And now you can see it's going to synchronize all the files from the Arch database, and then it's going to install all the files to your mount folder. This bit can take a little while, so you can take a break for 5-10 minutes until it's done it. So once it's installed, you can clear the screen, and we're going to type the next command, which is gen fstab. This creates the file table -u/mount, and then you output that to mnt etc fstab. We're now ready to switch into our new installed system. So what we type is arch chroot. It's got a hyphen in between, and then /mount. Oops. As so, and we're now in realms of setting our time zone. So if we cd into USR share zone info folder, do an ls, you can see there's a number of zones in there, and you'll see there's one called Europe for if you're in Europe. If you're in America, there's different zones there that you can choose, but I'm going to cd into Europe by ls. You can see there's more zones there. So what I want to do to set my time zone is ln-sf, which creates a symbolic link between user share. I say user, it's actually Unix Systems Resources that it stands for, so it's not user really. But zone info, Europe, London, and then do /etc and then local time. The next thing I want to do is HW clock -- sys2hc. Then we can do some localization. So we need to, this is the importance of installing nano. So nano etc locale.gen. And you're going to need to uncomment the one that's for you. So in my case, we've got ENGB. So I'm going to uncomment that, Control O, Control X, clear the screen. And then I can type locale.gen. Sorry, locale-gen. You can see it's generating the locale that I've chosen. And then I need to nano etc locale.conf, and I need to type lang equals engb.utf-h, Control O to save, Control X to exit. And then we can also nano etc console.conf, and we can type keymap equals, in my case, UK, and this is the same thing that we from the very first command where we set the keyboard layout. So that's Control O, Control X. Now we want to set the name of your PC, so that's nano etc hostname, and we can call it what you want to call the PC. So Gary Arch, Control O, Control X. And now we're going to set the root password. So we're going to type PASSWD, and we're going to give it a password. You can see it said the password set match. I'm going to do it again. And you see password updated successfully. Now we're going to install the bootloader, so we're going to clear the screen here, and I need to type pacman -s, and I am going to install glub and EFI boot mgl. Select yes for that. When that's done, I'm going to clear the screen again, and I am going to make a boot folder, make the boot EFI. I need my fdisk -l again. And what I am going to do is mount dev mmc blk 0p1 to boot EFI. Then I'm going to type glub install target equals x86-64-EFI, and then bootloader ID equals glub EFI directory equals boot EFI. And you can see it said installation is completed with no errors reported. So now we need to make the glub config, and that's glub -make config -o boot glub.cfg. It's generating a glub file, and so that's that. So now we're going to add a normal user. So we are going to type user add -m Gary. Well, actually, what I want to do is install sudo. So pacman -s sudo. Because I want Gary to have sudo privileges. I need to set a password for Gary. PASSWD Gary. And create a password. As so. I'm going to clear the screen again to make it easier to see. And we're now going to add Gary to a number of groups. So user mod might say G and wheel, audio, video, storage, and we're going to put Gary as the user for that. So that gives Gary access to the wheel, audio, video, and storage groups. And now we want to type editor equals nano by sudo. And we're going to page down. And when you see this wheel all equals all line, we want to remove the comment. Press Ctrl O, Ctrl X. So next we're going to install the desktop environment and a network manager. So pacman -s xorg and network manager. So xorg's needed so that you can run any sort of desktop environment. A network manager will give you access to network tools. Default for everything here, and then press Y, and that will install xorg and the network manager. We're now going to clear the screen, and we're going to do pacman -s GNOME. Again, we're going to choose the defaults. Again, this is going to take a little while, so you can take a break if you need to. So we're almost there now. All we need to do is clear the screen again. We're going to type system control enable gdm.service, and what that does is starts the GDM display manager, and then we're going to do system control enable network manager service. Notice the case on the network manager, and that's going to make your network manager work. Now we're going to exit out, and we're going to do umount mount, and then we're going to do shut down now. Once the system's shut down, you can take out your USB drive and then restart your computer. When you reboot, you should see the Arch Linux grub menu. Choose the first option, and you see Arch is now installed. And that's the end of the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and in the next video I'll show you how to configure your newly installed Arch to install applications and get things set up a little bit more than they are now, because at the moment you can have a base install with not much on it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.